Hello everybody, my name is Brooke and I am a professional hairstylist and curly hair content creator, which I know you're probably looking at my hair right now going, what do you mean you're a curly hair content creator? If you have come from my TikTok page, you know that I like to teach you guys how to style your fine, wavy to curly hair that tends to dry like this and you don't know how to bring your curls out. So if you are looking for a wash day routine to take your hair from this to this, then keep on watching because I'm going to show you my in detail wash day and diffusing routine. So first we start in the shower. I like to use a shampoo and no conditioner. The reason I don't like to use a conditioner is because I find it tends to weigh my curls down. If I'm able to use just a leave-in conditioner or a curl cream outside of the shower and still get the same benefits of an actual conditioner, I prefer to do that. This way I'm not using a conditioner and a leave-in conditioner or a curl cream and weighing my curls down. So I started in the shower today using my AG Care Curl Fresh shampoo. This is a natural sulfate-free cleansing shampoo that gently refreshes the hair and the scalp. It is 98% plant-based and has pea peptide and rice extract, which are two ingredients that my high porosity hair loves. I double shampoo with this in the shower and then that is it for in the shower for my hair. Once I get out of the shower, I like to style on soaking wet hair. So I'm going to re-wet my hair and we'll get into my styling products. I always like to have a continuous spray bottle on me because I find it's just so much easier to re-wet my hair, especially because it dries so fast. I like to style on soaking wet hair because I find I get the best curl clumps that way. Now usually I'll do this routine right out of the shower, but I had a couple things I had to do before filming this today. So my hair had some time to dry, but usually I will style right out of the shower on my soaking wet hair. All right, now that my hair is nice and wet again, I'm now gonna go in with my moisturizing ingredient, which would be either a curl cream or leave-in conditioner. Today I'm going to use a curl cream. I'm going to be using my Cake Beauty Defining Curl Cream. I have absolutely loved this curl cream lately because it's quite lightweight but gives me really good moisture. It has avocado oil, soybean oil, and shea butter, which gives you amazing hydration. And yes, I love this curl cream. I've got about 2 curl creams that are my favorite and this is one of the ones that I love the most. So I use about this much for my entire head, not too much. And I go in on my hair after my shower and I just kind of smooth this through before I go in and detangle. A question I get asked a lot is how do I detangle my hair if I'm not using a conditioner? And this is exactly how. The curl cream acts as your conditioner and puts moisture back into your hair, so once that is in your hair, you shouldn't have a hard time detangling. Now is when I would go in and start to detangle my hair, and you can see I have no tangles, and I'm getting the benefits of a conditioner without having to use a conditioner and a leave-in conditioner. Now is when I go in and start to apply my other styling products. I also don't really love to apply everything and just scrunch it in. I'm someone who really likes to apply in sections and brush styles so that I know I'm getting even distribution as well as great definition everywhere. I'm going to show you exactly how I like to part my hair as well as brush style. I don't personally love to have a middle part, so what I do to get rid of my middle part is I take a little bit from this side and this side of my part and I section that off for later and I do the bottom and then the top. Now that that is sectioned off, I like to work on one side and then the other. So I'm just parting it down the middle in the back as well. So when it comes to my styling products, I usually like to use at least 3 styling products, and that will usually consist of a moisturizing product, a volumizing product, and a holding product. So my moisturizing product was my curl cream, and then I will usually go in with a mousse and a gel. Now that I have my moisturizing product in, I'm gonna go in and add my mousse for volume. For mousse, I love the Cake Beauty Whipped Curl Mousse. This mousse absolutely gives me the most volume I've ever had. And it has aloe vera and vitamin E in it, so you're gonna get a little bit of moisture from this as well as some hold. So if you are somebody who doesn't like to use a lot of products, this is a great option for you for like a one and done. You're not gonna get a whole lot of hold out of this, but you will get a little bit enough to have some good definition for the day. Now, one other thing that I do like to say about this mousse is it expands. So you want to start it with a little bit at a time because all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh my gosh, I have way too much product. So as you can see here, how much it grows. So I use about this much each side so that I'm not using too much, but also not too little. This is a very dense mousse, so if you're not a fan of something that's a little bit on the denser side, maybe opt for a foam that is more watery. But the denser the mousse is, the more volume you're going to get. And I just go in and I rake this through all of my hair, especially up near my root area because that's where I'm wanting the most volume. I like to go in and add water as I go if I find my hair is feeling a bit too dry. The drier your hair is when you're applying products, the more of a sticky feel you're going to have when your hair is dry. When your hair is wet, the water is kind of diluting the products a little bit so that way, when you go to scrunch out the crunch at the end, you don't end up having a sticky feeling left behind from your hair being too dry when you're applying your products. Now is when I like to go in and add some gel. I am going to be mixing two gels today just because I like the benefits of both of them. Using the Camille Rose Curl Maker. This is a defining jelly, so this is more of a custard. What curl custards actually are is they are a mix of a cream and a gel in one. So you'll find that they are a little bit thicker than your average gel and give you a bit more moisturizing benefits than an average traditional gel would. Your liquid gels are usually just a mix of holding ingredients, whereas curl jellies and curl custards have more moisture in them. I love this product. I find it mixes so good with everything. I've never had any issues with this giving me not good definition or not good hold, so I like to put it in almost every wash day routine I do just because I find it's a holy grail. It works for me every single time. Then I'm also going to mix it with the Marc Anthony Strictly Curls High Hold Gel. I've been playing around with this lately, so I wanted to throw this into my wash day routine today to see if I like it with this combo a little bit more than the last time I used it. Also has some moisturizing ingredients as well as holding ingredients, so you're gonna get the best of both worlds with this product as well. I've used this once before and I found I liked the results, but I was lacking on a little bit of moisture. So that is why I'm gonna mix these two together today and get the good moisture from this as well as the good hold from this and see if this is like a perfect combo together. So I'm just gonna do about 1 pump of each of them to start. So I'm getting about that much to start and I'm gonna put that all over this side again. I just kind of like to rake it through and then I kind of take my hands and slide it through to make sure everything is getting nice and coated. Now, since I have high porosity hair, I personally really love to use a lot of protein-based products in my hair because the hair shaft on high porosity hair tends to sit more open. I really like to use first my moisturizing ingredient, which is usually my curl cream or my leave-in conditioner, and put that in my hair to start. And then my products after that contain protein so that they help to kind of fill the gaps in the cuticle and seal all that moisture inside. And if I use too much moisture, it tends to weigh my curls down. Whereas when I'm using more protein-based products, they really help to keep my curls structured and bouncy. All right, now I'm gonna get into brush styling. When I brush style, I like to take little sections out of the big section like this. And then you can really go in with any brush of choice. I personally really like to use my Denman brush or my bounce curl brush. Now this is the bounce curl dupe. I highly suggest getting the real bounce curl brush. It's amazing, but this is the one that I have with me today. So I'm gonna be using my Denman brush today. I love this for getting really good definition. Since it's a little bit smaller and my hair is on the shorter side, I find that this is the best for me to get as much definition and volume as possible because the paddle isn't super wide that it's kind of stretching my curls too much. So all I do is I take my brush and I place it at the base of my hair near the roots, and then I'm just gonna brush it forwards and I kind of put my hand behind it and then I just give it a little bit of a shake. And then my favorite tip is to kind of take the hair in the direction that it's wanting to curl and give it a little bit of a twist in that direction to help it start forming its actual curl. You can see there, I haven't even scrunched it yet and the curl is already wanting to form. I give it just a tiny scrunch and I move on to the next section. I really like to kind of do that twisting motion before I scrunch the hair. Since my curl pattern is looser, it tends to go like a weird zigzaggy pattern if I don't really push it in the direction it wants to go first. So once again, I'm just taking this section, placing the brush right at the top, sliding it right down the hair, giving it a little bit of a shake, and then just using my hand to really twist it where it wants to go. And I'm just going to continue to do that all the way up this whole section. So I only wash my hair about once or twice a week, so I really like to put the effort into my wash day to make sure it's lasting me all week long. This helps me only take about 5 minutes on my refreshes in the morning because I put so much effort into making sure it looked good on my actual wash day. If you're worried about brushing your curls before you scrunch them because you think it's going to take your curls away, I want you to think about your hair like a ribbon. When you are to take a pair of scissors on a straight ribbon, it makes it curl, right? It's kind of the same thing with your hair. When you are taking that brush and you are smoothing your hair straight, you're able to actually help it form its curl pattern better because it's smoothing out all of that frizz and then helping the curl to clump where it wants to go. That will really help form your curl pattern. So if it's looking straight when it's wet and you're worried that it's, not gonna look like a good curl when you brush it straight, Give it a try. You might actually be surprised because I was the exact same way for a while. I was a little bit scared to brush my hair when it was wet because I didn't want to stretch out my curls, but I don't think I could ever go back to doing anything other than brush styling again. I find it literally changed the curl game for me. While we're doing this, I figured since it's my first YouTube video, I would tell you guys a little bit about myself and why I started this channel. So my name is Brooke. I'm a professional hairstylist and a curly hair content creator from Ontario, Canada. And I actually post a lot on my TikTok page, which I will post right here. And on my TikTok page, I help to teach everyone about their hair type, their hair texture, their porosity, as well as density. Now, growing up, I always had a hard time figuring out how to style my own hair, and I never really knew that my hair was curly. And that is because I didn't really feel like there was enough information out there about my specific curl pattern. I have very fine hair. My hair looks very straight when it's wet, but when it dries, it is puffy and not cute. Until around a year ago, I really started to take my curly hair journey seriously. And once I finally figured out what works best for me and I had a good education on it, I made my TikTok account, and that is how we got here. The reason I wanted to move to both TikTok and YouTube is because I talk a lot. So I could go on and on about a subject forever, and I find that trying to fit some of that information into short videos gets a little bit hard, and it becomes confusing for some people when I'm splitting it into multiple different videos. So this way I can post some longer form videos on here for you guys explaining how you can style your hair, different products that are good for your hair, what your products do to your hair, as well as figuring out your hair's density, porosity, and all the things you need to know to start your curly hair journey. Okay, now that that side is all finished being brush defined, I go in and I start scrunching it just a little bit. I'm not really being aggressive with it because I don't want to break up how my curl pattern is trying to lay. And now we're going to start on the other side. And I'm just going back in again with a little bit of mousse. See what I mean about it expanding? I took a little bit too much, but that's okay. The more wet your hair is, the more product you can get away with using because of the fact that it does dilute the product, like I was saying. So if you feel like you've used too much product, add a little bit more water into your hair, and that should really help to dilute it so that it doesn't feel crunchy or stiff when you go in and diffuse it. And I'm going in with my gel combo mixed together again, making sure that is nice and evenly distributed. I find that both sides of my hair like to curl in the same direction. So this side of my head curls away from my face, whereas the other half of my head curls in towards my face. Kind of something that you have to figure out for your own hair. Everyone's hair is a little bit different, but the more you start to brush style your hair, the more you'll be able to realize where your curls really actually want to sit. This is always my favorite part. I find that the minute you brush it through and you kind of see where it wants to curl, so satisfying. As I get closer to the top of my head, I'm kind of pulling everything up a little bit more rather than out, just so that I'm getting as much volume as possible. It kind of just lifts my hair up off of my roots, and I get that nice lift right about here. I'm just gonna give everything a nice little scrunch. And now we're going to get into the top, which is my favorite and most important part. Like I said, I don't really like to have a super defined middle part, and I also like to have a lot of volume at my roots. So I find that this is the absolute best way for me to get both of those things. Going in with the same styling technique I've been doing with the bottom, adding some mousse. Really focus this up at my root area. That way I know I'm getting as much volume at the top of my head as possible. And then once again, going in with a pump of each gel. Kind of focusing this more on the ends of this section rather than right at the root. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and take little sections once again of this big section. Now I'm going to take my brush and place it on the front of the section like this. And I'm going to brush it straight up and kind of forward. Grab it in my hand again. And then you can see where it's wanting to twist. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to twist it in that direction. And then I'm going to give it just a tiny squeeze and throw it back. I'm going to do this all the way until I reach the front. Brush, placing it in front, brushing it up and forwards, giving it a little twist, crunch, and throwing it back. This is making sure that you're getting curl straight to the root of your hair. You're getting as much volume as you can because you're brushing the hair up and away from the scalp. And it's going to get rid of your middle part because you are kind of brushing everything together at once. So I do this now until I hit around my bang area. Then when it comes to my bangs, I kind of like to finger coil these just because I like when they're a little bit more strategically placed. So I'm just going to brush them through. Then I'm kind of going to take the pieces where they want to clump by themselves. I'm just going to take my fingers, going to slide down the hair strand, place my fingers like this, and I'm going to slide them all the way up the hair strand and then let it go in the direction it wants to curl. I'm gonna give those a little scrunch. I'm gonna pull all my hair back down and start scrunching this top section. Now that we've done some scrunching, I like to go in and do what's called micro plopping. What this means is you're going to take a microfiber towel and you're going to use this to scrunch out the rest of the excess water and product in your hair. You're just gonna go in and scrunch the same way you were with your hands, but with your microfiber towel. Using a microfiber towel is really great because it doesn't cause frizz like normal towels do, because it doesn't cause friction on the hair when you're touching your hair with it. This is really great because if you have maybe a little bit too much product in your hair, this kind of helps to get rid of some of that. Ready to start diffusing. I personally like to take some of these claw clips before I start diffusing and I put these at my roots. That way I get extra volume at the top of my hair without it leaving any creases. These are the Curl Keeper claw clips. Take my clip and I just place it at the top of my roots, close it to create a little bit of extra lift here. When it comes to diffusing, I am a little bit picky about my diffusers. I find some diffusers blow a little bit too fast, and when that happens, it kind of creates a little bit of frizz. So the perfect diffuser for me is the Bellissima Diffond diffuser. I love this diffuser. It doesn't blow too quickly, and it also isn't too hot, so you're not going to burn yourself with it. Like the perfect little handheld diffuser. I swear by this diffuser. I like to go in and dry my bangs, and then I dry up the rest of my hair after that. So when I dry my bangs, I kind of just take them like this, place them into the inside of the diffuser and hold them for about 10 seconds, let them go. Do that until I feel like I've got a good cast and good shape going. Once I'm starting to like how my bangs are looking, I go in and I start to diffuse the rest of my hair. You might see people do what's called hover diffusing. I personally don't like to do this. This is when you kind of hover over the top of the hair first to start setting your gel in place. But for me, I find if I do this, I get too much of an elongated curl result because it's kind of freezing your hair in this shape. Whereas I like to go in and it's called pixie diffusing right away. This is where you go in and you start to scrunch the hair into the diffuser right away. And I find that that kind of helps to freeze my curls more in a tighter pattern. Now I do this on both sides until my hair is around 50% dry. Now that my hair is around 50% dry, I like to take out my root clips because I'm gonna flip my head upside down and start diffusing that way. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to flip my head all the way upside down and I'm going to start diffusing my hair all over the same way I have been, just so that I know I'm getting maximum volume. After diffusing upside down, I go in and I flip all of my hair to one side and I diffuse like this on the one side for a little bit and then I kind of flip-flop. So I do this side for a little bit and then I flip to this side and I kind of just keep doing that until my hair is 100% dry. I'm gonna repeat this process, kind of just flipping my head upside down, side to side, and diffusing, and then I will be back to show you guys what it looks like 100% dry, and we will scrunch out the gel cast. Okay, my hair is now 100% dry, and we're about to do what's called scrunching out the crunch. Now, what is the crunch, and why are we scrunching it out? So, basically, the purpose of your hair gel, which I find is a big reason a lot of people don't like to use it, is because they find it makes their hair feel crunchy. The reason that your gel is making your hair feel crunchy is because it's creating a coating on top of your hair to help reduce frizz, as well as help keep your curl in shape while it's drying. When your hair is 100% dry, you're actually able to go in and just scrunch that crunchiness away and you will be left with soft curls. Now, some people will go in and use an oil or a serum to scrunch out their crunch. I personally like to just use my dry hands just because my hair is already so soft naturally that I don't feel like I need to add any extra moisture in there when I'm scrunching out the gel cast. I first like to flip my head upside down and just kind of shake out my roots, and then I just flip my head around and scrunch it and get rid of any of that crunchy feeling. And this is it. These are the results of today's wash day routine. Everything's looking great. I feel like I've got good hold in here, good volume, and really nice definition as well. I really hope you guys liked today's video. Let me know what kind of video you guys want to see next, whether it's more wash day routines, product recommendations, or anything about hair density, hair thickness, hair porosity, all of those fun things. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you want to see more, give me a subscribe and a like, and follow me on my TikTok page, brooks.curlycontent. I post on there every single day. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye!